So for those of you who do not know, I teach on Preply and I'm preparing for my class, which is coming up 10 a.m. So I decided to record this video. I had to take permission from a friend of mine because it's her story, but I just felt it was worthy of being shared. So this friend of mine, her marriage is like really bad, like really, really bad. It's as bad as a few years ago when I was in Turkey, this lady called me panicking on the phone and telling me that her husband, who has not been home or who had not been home in 11 months, not just due to the nature of his job, but based on choice. Because even though you work in a different state, you can make it a priority to visit your family. So he had not been home in 11 months, and then he told her that he was coming. This was how she was expecting him. Next thing, dude did not show up. I'm sorry, I'm in my balcony just in case you guys can hear noises of cars, airplanes, and things like that. So anyway, this was how she called me that morning, panicking that she doesn't know where her husband is and stuff like that. Do you know that she even went to the park, that's the bus station, where she thought, okay, in case if he'd had an accident, at least this is where, she'll get the information. Only for her to get there and she was told that there was no accident and nothing. So apparently, long story short, this man had gone to a different destination, obviously. I mean, even though we don't want to say where he would have been, but you can all figure that out. You understand? Just in case you're wondering why I didn't use a primer, I have just one class. And I'll be at home all through. So there's no need for all that. So I'm just trying to give you an instance of how bad this relationship was. I don't know if that makes any sense. Anyway, let's circle this back to today. Recently, that's in present time. Recently, this is how this man, I don't know, they somehow were talking, and then he pulled out on her. I don't want my accounts to be banned, so you people should figure it out. He pulled out on her. So, and let me put it in perspective that he's in the military, so that's how he had access to that, just in case you're wondering. And the reason I'm even shooting this video is not even because of the husband. It's because of the position of the family or how the family reacted to the situation. Now, one would think that in Africa, even though we value marriage so much, one would think that when it comes to life or death, people would learn to at least choose their families, right? Because I know that in Africa, people are very particular about marriage and things like that. So you would think that this would be the point that, okay, maybe our family would say, okay, it's time for you to leave your husband. Because for a long time, she had been complaining to me that she couldn't talk to her family about it, Do you know that this is how these people are telling her that the man is going through a lot and how they say this is how men who have such professions, because of their limited access to mental health, that this is how they behave. And I found that interesting because it now made me wonder, what kind of love do we practice? Okay. So to put this in perspective, I'm Nigerian. Do you get? So it's now make you wonder, like, what kind of love do we practice that you love your own family members so much to a point that another person's child pulls on them, and instead of you to ask her to run away, you are making excuses for him, like you're literally making excuses for another person's child. And one of the things that I appreciate so much about coming overseas is the fact that it taught me what love and loyalty means. Because for most people who say, oh, Oyinbo Once you marry them and things scatter, all of them will side their people. They will do this to you, they will do that to you. The reason why it's that way, and I'm circling this thing back because that's the only thing I have to compare relationships. Like I don't have any other, like I've not experienced any other form of relationship. You understand? I can only compare what I know based on what I say, where I'm living presently, and based on where I'm coming from. So the thing is, when you, the reason is simply because here, when you break up, no family is going to support you over their own person. I don't know if you understand. No family is supposed to put their own person. It's their person or nobody completely. That's how it is. So one would expect, and then it made me realize that in Africa or in Nigeria, where I'm from, we are more bothered about what people will say. We are more bothered about every other person's opinion, morality, society. And that's why we'll rather watch our children die in toxic relationships than ask them to leave. Simply because we are more bothered about what people will say. And then it makes me wonder, it makes me question the kind of love we have for our family members, the kind of love our mothers claim to have for us, the kind of love our siblings claim to have for us, because most people who died in abusive relationships, it was someone who told them to go back. It was somebody who asked them to go back to it. Most times they died either the second time they reconciled or the third time they reconciled, you know. So this question, I want to throw it to my fellow Africans. At what point do you think it's okay for families to initiate or support the separation of couples? Because clearly it seems like there are no boundaries. It's the way it seems like. It's really interesting. I thought, okay, it's something I should share because it was very surprising. It was really interesting to see that. I mean, I had always known, but it's another thing to be living. It's another thing to live an experience that you've always known, So let me know in the comment section what you think about this story and what you think about the kind of love we claim to have for our siblings, our children, and even ourselves as people in Africa. In Nigeria, sorry. Because somebody will come to my comment section and say, call the country. Well, of course, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, we know that Nigeria is a bit forward when it comes to other African countries. So I'm not sure I don't think what I'm saying is a bit far-fetched, Well, let me know what you think in the comment section.